What is up with it, everybody? Live from the studios of WIUR from the Murphy Center at Iona University. Welcome back to Woolley Mammoth Mondays. I'm your host, Cam Woolley, keeping you company here for the next hour, leading you into lunchtime talking sports. Tell you, nice weather today. Finally got the sun. It's been windy. Dear God, it's been windy. It's cold. It's getting to be that time of year, folks. I swear, I feel like sometimes we just skip fall. I saw a TikTok a couple days ago that was just like, we don't have fall anymore. We just skip from summer and we go right into winter. We have maybe a couple weeks where the weather is just like the best thing ever, where it's just mid 60s, sunny. It's not depressing. It's right before daylight savings time. Because right now it gets like it's dark out at 5. And I didn't realize how much I hated that until this year. So, anyways, enough about me rambling about the weather. We're here to talk some sports. We're here to talk some football. We're here to commiserate about our god awful football teams in this town that have consistently been god awful since we were in elementary school. We're going to start here. The New York Football Giants, another loss on Sunday to the Green Bay Packers, 27-20, yada, 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 yada. Like, I'm past the point of breaking down the games. I'm past the point of that because, to be honest, it's not really necessary at this point. It's like I'm not a journalist here. Sure, it's like if I am a journalist, and I've been a journalist on occasion, and if I were a journalist, I'd be breaking down this stuff. But no, I'm a guy who rants about this. And as a guy who rants about this, I think it's redundant to break down the games on a molecular level because we've been trying to break down these games at a molecular level for the last 10 years and it has not worked. So I'm honestly this year I like this time of year because now I might have reached the point of apathy and acceptance in football this year. My team sucks. Nothing's going to change that. I'm coming to grips with that. I wasn't in a bad mood yesterday. The Giants losing, I was kind of like, yeah, whatever. And now here's the kicker. I've come to terms with my fantasy football punishment. Now, you guys aren't going to know what that is until you find out because it has something to do with me doing something on campus. But my fantasy football team, just a real dud of a year. Again, my second year in a row finishing last. Third time in 5 years of me finishing last. So, maybe that's a message. Maybe I shouldn't play fantasy football anymore. My real football team and my fake football team are both terrible. So I can't even derive happiness from that. I just have to be in an awful mood all around. And on top of that, my parlay has never hit. So maybe I just suck at being a football fan or watching football. I don't know. It's like I've watched so much bad football that I now suck at watching it. And this is kind of why I wanted Jameis Winston starting the season to begin with. And he played a fine game. It's like I want a little more excitement, but given that he had no receivers to do anything exciting with, I can't blame him for not really chucking deep shots. There was one to Jalen Hyatt, and we're going to talk about Jalen Hyatt. Good Lord. I mean, how long are we going to keep him on the roster? But there was one to Jalen Hyatt where he threw like a 50-yard bomb down the middle into double coverage. That was a dropped pick. There were like 6 of those in that game. Not the deep posts over the middle, but the dropped picks. But I think maybe if Malik Neighbors were healthy, we would have gotten some monster stat line where it was 400 passing yards on 50 attempts, 3 touchdowns, 3 picks. I wanted a game like that from Jameis Winston. But, when all your receivers are either hurt or suck, it's kind of hard to put up those kind of numbers. So now we got just boring passing plays. And instead of the picks, or instead of the almost picks being on 50-yard shots downfield, the almost picks are on 5-yard hook routes. So, I mean, whatever. I mean, I can't really be mad at the way they played. And the other thing with Jameis, it's like I don't have to take it seriously. It's like going in, it's like I know I'm just there for a goofy time. I'm there to have a couple laughs. Even on the last pick, I was like, Jameis, he threw the pick. So yeah, it's like, but when Russ was starting, you still got this sense that you had to take the game seriously. It's like when Russ was starting against the Commanders and the Chiefs, I was legitimately angry. When he made bad throws, I was legitimately angry because he was supposed to be the serious guy. Jameis Winston doesn't take himself seriously. When I watch Jameis Winston play, it's like, do you think that's a guy? Dude, he's a cartoon character. He's a gimmick. He's embraced that. I'm sure his publicist has told him to embrace that. And he's rejuvenated his PR to become just the funny guy. And I want him on this team. I'll pay him starter money to be a backup. I will pay, like, we've got the cap space. I'll throw $20 million a year at Jameis Winston to be Jackson Dart's backup because he's just a cool guy to have on the roster. And I think Dart, he feeds off that. Dart's an energy vibes guy. And I think, Jameis Winston, he brings vibes. The two of them on the bench talking, it's entertaining. It gives us something to get through these really hard parts of the season where we know we have nothing to play for. We're staring at Tankathon. We're looking at draft position. We're just sitting here praying that the Eagles don't win the Super Bowl again. And we're just waiting to see who gets fired, who stays, who goes. And I feel like a guy like Jameis Winston, he softens the blow a bit. Because last year we had this alternating rotation of, like, to end the year, we had Drew Lock and I don't know who else was that quarterback to end the year, but I know it was like something really just awful. And but the point is, I don't even remember the other quarterback that we started. Who was it? Jake Fromm, I think it was, or was it? No, no, and I can't say it off the top of my head because I'm going to fill it with dead air, and dead air is something that we don't like on this program. So, I mean, I can't really be mad at the way they played. It was close. They had a shot to win. I mean, that's all we can really ask for. It's just like, just look respectable. And I was locked into that game from opening kickoff to the last interception. And I'll say this, that offensive line, that's a good unit. I don't care what anybody says, especially in pass pro and running in between the tackles, they were really efficient. Really friggin' efficient. Carmen Brasillo, that is the one guy on this coaching staff I'm retaining after this year. He has done such a great job with that offensive line. And I think if you throw money at a couple of guards or a center, I think that's an offensive line that can move a lot of people, figuratively and literally, because that's a good unit. And this is how you can tell who actually watches Giants games and who doesn't. Because the people who actually watch Giants games will tell you that the offensive line has done a good job because they see it, they look at the stats, they do their homework. Now, meanwhile, you look at people who don't watch the Giants who are checked out, and can you blame them? They say, oh, we need to draft a tackle. We need O-line, 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 O-line. Dart's going to die back there. Meanwhile, it's like, yeah, Dart's going to die, but it's because he takes so many hits after he gets the first down. I think he can learn from that. I think he's a smart enough guy to learn from that. But he'll get himself killed, but it's not the offensive line's fault for him getting killed. And, the running game was really good. Devin Singletary had a couple touchdowns. Tyrone Tracy looked respectable. And I think this is something that they can build on. That's the thing. There are things to build on. And on the other hand, though, that game was as good a case as you're going to get for Joe Shane getting fired. And it all stems from the 2023 draft class. And if Joe Shane gets fired after this year, the 2023 draft class is going to be why. Deontay Banks, again, showing no effort. I mean, what is the use in having this guy on the team still? It's like, it's sad. Like, he gets mossed for touchdowns. He can't make plays on the ball. And you watch him try to tackle, It's just repulsive. It's like, do you ever see a football player or any athlete? It's like there comes a point sometimes where you can't stand to look at the guy's face anymore without him making you physically angry. Deontay Banks is one of those people because he got blessed with God given talent and millions of dollars, more money than I am probably ever going to see in my life. And he reciprocates with the most disgusting amount of effort that you can give on a football field. Football is one of maybe two sports in this country where you can clearly spot a correlation between effort and performance. Football is one of those. And Deontay Banks is showing no effort and he sucks. He has no right being on an NFL roster. He's just what he's doing with the gifts that he was given. Again, the gifts. God gave him the gift of being naturally talented at football. And this is what he does with it. Watch him try to tackle. He's making business decisions out there. He's in no place to be making business decisions. I'm sorry. He's awful. Awful, awful, awful. I hate it. And if any move is going to get Joe Shane fired, it's going to be that. Or Jalen Hyatt stopping on a corner route that led to the interception that ended the game. Why did you think you were supposed to stop there? No, again, I'm apathetic. I've reached the point where I don't really care. But dude, the Bolitnikov winner, we drafted this guy expecting him to potentially be a wide receiver one, and he's done nothing. And two guys that Joe Shane traded up for in the 2023 draft class who kind of lost you the game single-handedly. And another case for Joe Shane being fired, the coaching search with the Giants, I'd not tell you, but talk about brutal timing. Last week, approximately an hour after I go off air, Brian Daboll gets fired. That would have been something nice to chew on for me. Whatever. We're on the next coach, and I think it might be a little too early to really think about who's going to be the coach of this team, but Jay Glazer on the Fox pregame show, and he's a source. It depends on how much you trust him, but he's definitely a source. He has inside people. These are the list of candidates that he gave out who are realistic. Mike McCarthy, Matt Nagy, Arthur Smith, Steve Spagnuolo, Chris Shula, Lou Anarumo. Okay. I hate this. This is a list, and I know I said last week, I like what Joe Shane has done with this roster. I like what he's done the last couple of years. I'm not one of those people who viscerally hates him because if I mentioned the 2023 draft, that draft in general just sucked for everybody. If you want to judge a GM based on what they did in the 2023 draft, half of them would get fired. I mean, think about it. Even the Eagles, who are the most perfect team to ever exist in the history of ever, they drafted Nazi Smith with their first round pick in that draft. That even the best of the best didn't really get much. I literally looked at the 2023 draft and I can count a few of the guys who are marginally good. Like Dalton Kincaid, Devon Achane, Brenton Strange, maybe, but at the bottom, and Will Anderson, but he was the third overall pick. So everybody kind of ate it on that draft class, but this list of candidates right here is a better case than any I've seen for Joe Shane getting fired. And I know it's only November and it's going to change, but this early list, I hate it. There is only one guy on this list who I genuinely like, and that's Chris Shula, the defensive coordinator from the Rams. The McVay tree has a good track record. I think that organization is just brilliant, and you want brilliant people leading your team because they can make your organization a brilliant organization. But outside of that, I mean, Mike McCarthy, I'd be sufficiently whelmed by. I'd be like, okay, whatever. I mean, Mike McCarthy, he's fine. He's done it before. He's won games. Considering the bar for success with the Giants right now, I wouldn't mind him. He's not going to win you a Super Bowl. I think he's like I look at Mike McCarthy the same way I looked at Lindy Ruff with the Devils. Like Lindy Ruff built that bridge from garbage to good, but he's not the guy who's going to bring you from good to champion. And that's how I'd feel about Mike McCarthy. I mean, I'd like him to stay for a few years, and when the bar eventually gets raised, I'm going to want him to get fired, and he will probably get fired. But outside of that, I mean, Matt Nagy, Arthur Smith, Steve Spagnuolo. I mean, sure, he's a good defensive coordinator, but he's a terrible head coach. And Lou Anarumo, I mean, fine. The Colts are a wagon. I mean, my God, that team's good. It's like I wouldn't mind him, but I mean, that's just a terrible list. And I'm sure the list is gonna grow and change, and a few of these names might get shaved off. We don't even know if the GM's gonna stay. So I don't know. I don't know. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? I want to move on here to the Jets real quick. I'm just gonna talk about these guys real quick because I don't really know what to say for them. I mean, again, that's another point of apathy. But the one guy I need to just poke at here, dude, Justin Fields. Yeah, we can't keep doing this with Justin Fields. As collectively as a sport, we cannot keep doing this with Justin Fields, making him a starting quarterback. It's malpractice. I do not know why he has been given chance after chance after chance. He's the high upside guy who the really bad team gives a 2-year contract for way too much money. It's like that's another guy who gets he's gonna retire with generational wealth for his family, and he can't even throw a football at a position where your main job is throwing a football. It's like he can't play quarterback for the life of him. I mean, watch him actually try and play quarterback. Watch him try and do something on offense by himself outside of pulling the ball back and running for 12 yards. He can't. He can't do anything like that. I mean, 3 games that he started and finished this year, he has less than 60 passing yards. 2 of those games, he has less than 50. And there are still people out there who insist that he's good. I can't believe that there's still a Justin Fields cult out there. I can't. And there are people who I know on this campus who see Justin Fields make a good throw. It's like, wow, that was a good throw. I'm like, really? But yeah, it's the one good throw that he made in the game. Dude, Justin Fields, he sucks. When are we just going to collectively admit as an NFL community that he sucks? He can't play quarterback. No, I guess we're back to the Patriots running your pockets twice a year, like when I was growing up. That you had 20 years with the Patriots running your pockets. Then it was the Bills for 5 years. And now we're right back to the Patriots. Now, dude, I just want to ask a rhetorical question here. What did that fan base do to deserve another perennial title contender? What patience did they exhibit over the last few years that made God go, yeah, you know what? Drake May. And I love Drake May. I loved him going into the draft. I wanted the Giants to take him, evidently for good reason. and he's just done a phenomenal job. He's probably going to win MVP. Although, if you ask me, I think it should be Jonathan Taylor, but it's a quarterback award now. And, some sports writers are just have the most narrow minds on earth. And dude, like, look at Boston. Look at Boston sports. Do you know what I would do to grow up a Boston sports fan? What I do for a do-over at life? To just be born in some town in Massachusetts. It's a great state, by the way. If you look at all the metrics, they've done a great job over there. And be born into, like, if I both have the same parents, because I love my parents, but to be born into a family where my dad is, you know what? Pats, Sox, Celtics, Bruins. I don't think I would have 75% of the mental health problems I have if I was born a Boston sports fan. Because look at all those teams. You get a championship every 3 years. The longest they had to wait between championships in my lifetime was, I think, in between 2018 and 2024, the where the Patriots won a Super Bowl. Technically, that was 2019. Patriots won a Super Bowl. They had to wait 5 calendar years for the Celtics to win the NBA Finals. Meanwhile, New York is still looking for their first title in 14 years. Last time there was the Giants in 2011. So, yeah, it's terrible. It's some people, the worst people get blessed with the best things. I don't understand. Oh my God. All right. Anyways, I want to give a little update on the tankathon here before we throw to break. And I want to propose something here. Now, stick with me. Currently, right now, the New York Giants have the 2nd overall pick and the Jets have the 5th overall pick. Now, what I want the Giants to do here, I want them to trade back for a haul, and it can come from the Jets. Now, what I want here for the Giants, either multiple firsts. You can really infuse this team with talent with that kind of capital, both via the draft and the trade market, or you can get a premier player. Now, here's a mock trade that I threw up just in the library while prepping for this around an hour ago. The New York Jets get the 2nd overall pick. That's a given. Nothing else. The Jets will probably have their pick at a franchise quarterback if the Titans don't trade out. The New York Giants get, now this is where it gets interesting. They get the Green Bay pick. So the Jets hold on to number 5 in this situation. A 3rd round pick. Now, why are you asking the return is that low on the pick end? Garrett Wilson. The Jets are already trading franchise cornerstones on defense. Why not do it on offense? They've shown that signing a long-term extension over the offseason hasn't stopped the GM from trading a guy. So the Jets get a chance to really revitalize their franchise that they aren't going to take advantage of because they're the Jets. And the Giants, while they do trade back significantly in the draft, they get a proven star receiver to pair with their budding star quarterback on a rookie contract. And the rookie contract is why I'm making this trade as well, because Garrett Wilson, like, he does come with a hefty cap hit, but he's a borderline top 10 receiver. And if you pair that with Malik Neighbors, especially coming off a torn ACL, he could be a little slow to come back. You pair Garrett Wilson with Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterbo and Malik Neighbors and an improved offensive line, Tyrone Tracy, Theo Johnson. That is an offense that can drop 30 a game in their sleep if they stay healthy. And that's a big if. Big, big, big if. Now, all right, we're going to go to break here. When we come back, going to talk some Shedeur Sanders. He just started his career in a very baffling way. I'm going to talk about the reaction to that. And we're going to talk some Iona hoops Big win on Friday against Fordham. Back after this.
This is WIUR Radio.
Hi, I'm Becca Bittner, the host of Iona University's news show, Good Morning Gaels. My co-host, Nick Waltieri, and I cover everything that's going on here at Gale Nation. We give you all the buzzing campus news you need to know before your first cup of coffee every Friday morning. Make sure to check out our morning show, along with our sports show, Gale Zone, on our IUTV Instagram and YouTube. With hosts Cam Woolley and Chris Solaro, you'll get sports updates from the Hines Athletic Center to the big leagues. See you there, and as always, go Gales. Now, back to WIUR.
Tell you, IUTV, dude. Becca, she does a great job. I see her at the basketball games all the time. She's in the field. No, she's actually doing work at the games. Meanwhile, I'm just in the nosebleeds as a fan. So, but no, dude. Good morning, Gales. I mean, that's a crew that they get up, they shoot at like 8:30 on Friday mornings. Now, that's a crew that I mean, it's a crew I've thought about becoming a part of, but I can't really. I hate waking up early. Like in general, I hate waking up early because I'm 21 and like I much less do I want to like do work. But Becca, she does a great job. Gale Zone, obviously tune into that. Chris Solaro and I mean, and obviously shout out to Liz Riccio who runs the whole thing. My God, she's just brilliant. I will take any opportunity I get to talk about how brilliant that woman is at what she does on this campus. Like the media, like one of, if not the hardest working person I know. And I know a lot of hardworking people, but she just does a tremendous job as the producer. She does a tremendous job reporting in the basketball games. And, just great stuff from IUTV. We've really done a terrific job this year for all around the whole crew. We really do great. We've done phenomenal things. But anyways, I want to talk some Shadur Sanders real quick. I know this is really like the big story that ESPN is going to jam down our throats this week. And this is a little story that I'm going to jam down your throat real quick. My main takeaway from this, outside of him playing terribly, is Josina Anderson is doing the most phenomenal trolling job I've ever seen. It's like the tweet that she made that has gone just ballistic that I have bookmarked. Just a masterclass in engagement baiting. She tweeted the video of Shadur Sanders throwing one of I think his 3 first downs in that game where it was a Jerry Jeudy where he threw it 2 yards past the line of scrimmage and Jerry Jeudy made 3 guys miss. And the tweet was, quote, "Here was the against all odds 3 out of 10 completion by Shadur Sanders under 2 minutes." Oh my. First of all, if she's being serious, that is the dumbest tweet I've ever seen. Maybe that is okay. First of all, that probably wins the internet this year. And I saw this one TikTok that was up there. I think this beats it. Right now, and this is why I say it was a really good engagement bait job. This tweet right now, 4.3 million views. 1.6 thousand likes, 831 quotes / retweets, and 1.3 thousand replies. This, I mean, I gotta give her credit, like just from a professional standpoint, that, again, the most phenomenal internet trolling job I've ever seen. And she has committed herself to this bit. She has, she's an Emmy award-winning sports journalist. I can't bring myself to think she unironically believes this. I can't. I just can't. I don't think she actually believes what she's talking about when she's talking about Shadur Sanders because, again, dude, she's won an Emmy. That means something in sports. In order to do that, you have to have a little bit of knowledge of how sports works. And she specializes in football, so she should especially know how football works. And but the real thing with Shedeur Sanders is that there are people who actually believe the narrative that she's peddling and who agree with it. The thing with Shedeur Sanders is he has a cult following that I can only compare to Tim Tebow. Now, this is coming from somebody who had a first round grade on Shedeur Sanders coming into the draft. I thought he was very good in college. Sure, there were a couple things that I didn't like, but I was one of the people who thought that if the Giants drafted him third, I wouldn't have been mad. Now, meanwhile, he fell to the fifth round because apparently he was just the biggest jerk during his draft interviews. And apparently, the Shedeur Sanders following, the fanatics, and they come in droves. They have relentlessly harassed Kevin Stefanski and the Cleveland Browns to just start him and give him the keys. And they are making every single excuse in the book for this guy. And their logic is literally, if you don't think he's good, you're racist. That is the card that they're playing while talking about Shedeur Sanders, because he has personality. He wears jewelry. I saw a tweet that literally said, oh, he was a fifth round pick because he's confident and likes to wear jewelry. Do you know that you realize that there are prospects who have killed people during the combine process and they still got drafted in the top 15? May or may not be talking about Jalen Carter here, but with Shedeur Sanders, there are plenty of teams who will turn a blind eye to the most horrendous character if he can play football at a high level. Shedeur Sanders clearly is not one of those people, and he doubled down on it by treating himself as just this larger than life legend, literally calling himself legendary. Now, I don't care what anybody says. That's corny. That is very, very corny. And he had this whole draft party. He spent more on his draft party than his first NFL contract could cover. And I think he got it from his dad. But the thing is, with his dad was the greatest corner to ever play the game, at least judging by pass coverage. He can't tackle. And he literally said, man, they don't pay me to tackle. That was my best Deion Sanders. I love Deion. I love Deion Sanders. I don't want to sound like I hate Deion Sanders because I love him. I've always loved Deion Sanders. He stumped for Eli Manning throughout his entire career. I am going to defend him as well. But I do think he filled his kid's head with this idea that because of his last name and because of the swagger and energy that he has, he's like a legend. And the Browns, if they really placate to him, I do see a scenario where if Shedeur Sanders shows just enough to be considered half decent, which he did not, he went 4 for 16 with 47 yards, a pick, and a 13.5 passer rating. For context, you get a passer rating around 20 points higher if you spike the ball every play. So Shedeur Sanders literally would have done better if he just spiked, if he threw an incomplete pass every play. I mean, he had a couple good throws. I know there was this 20-yard dig route over the middle where he threw it in between, a couple layers. But the thing is, he's an NFL quarterback. Dude, Davis Mills can make throws like that. But overall, he looked like garbage. Let's call a spade a spade. Now, I'll tell you this. Like, back to the whole, like, racism narrative. Now, I like to think I'm pretty woke. Even though I'm not a resident of New York City, if I could have voted in that election, I would have voted for Zohran Mamdani. I'm a Mamdani guy, but this is the type of narrative pushing that can delegitimize a political movement with the one demographic that you need support from. Because if you look at now, here comes election analyst Cam Woolley here for like 2 minutes. The main demographic that made Donald Trump win the election this past November was, or not this past November, last November, was young white guys. Now, how do you think you're going to win? Honestly, I'm being so for real. As a young white guy, the best way to win us over is ball knowledge. And if you're going around here saying that a bad quarterback is good and you think he's bad and because you're racist, I don't think that's a good way to win people over in your political movement. But yeah, anyways, that'll be all from me on Shitter Sanders. That's just the one thing that I wanted to harp on here. Anyways, let's talk about some Iona basketball. Man, dude, I love what these guys are doing. I love them. I'm very entertained. They have an identity. This team has a very clear identity, dude. High flying offense, the shooting, the ball movement. It's aesthetically pleasing basketball. And when they get moved, when like they play fast, when it becomes a track meet, these guys win. And that win against Fordham, dude, that was electric. That building was just the atmosphere. And I was shocked by how nuts that building got. But I mean, they had to play in a tight game. They haven't played in tight games yet this year. They played in 2 tight games where they had big leads and then they kind of squandered them a bit. But this is a game where they were down by 6 with under 8 minutes left. And they came back. They showed a lot of fortitude. They showed character. They showed grit and sandpaper. And they showed that even when they aren't really shooting, they can turn it on at any point and they can outscore their problems. They played some good defense as well. I know like Day Reeves coming back. My God, he got quite the reception. Day Reeves. I forgot to put that down. Oh my, Day Reeves. He was really good last year. He made a verbal commitment to come back, and then he transferred. That is a grade A method to making a fan base hate you. And he came in, and in starting lineups, and I'll say this about the student section. I'll give them credit. They gave a lot of energy in this game. There was a lot of standing up. And when Day Reeves got introduced, oh, they were not nice. I'll tell you that, like, I've as someone who, like, on kind of in the field on this one, as an eyewitness, the student section, they were not nice to that guy. He was getting booed, and he kind of killed us for most of the game. He dropped 20 points. He shut us up. And all the credit to him. He is a tremendous basketball player. And he is really, really good. Really good. And it's no secret that he scored 20 as to why he scored 20 points in this game, because we saw him do it last year. But man, when starting lineups came out, there was a lot of boos. A lot more boos than I thought, because I talk about the student section a lot. I think this generation in general gets so caught up with not looking corny and trying to act nonchalant and acting above what the corny weird people are doing. But dude, this game was an exception. People were standing up. People were getting loud. I've heard that building get loud, and I talk about it a lot. You know, even though that it can only house around 2,500 people, it gets very loud. You can't hear it on the broadcast, but it is deafening. And the place, it feels like it moves sometimes. Well, maybe I won't say that, but it is rocking. And that building was rocking. Like throughout that second half when we were coming back. I mean, there was that alley-oop there to tie the game. My God, I couldn't hear myself think. And you had the black uniforms, and I swear it was wall to wall packed. And this is what happens when you build a good product like what Dan Giroux has built. He's done a great job. And when you do a good job building a basketball team, especially at the collegiate level, you are going to have people pack your building on a Friday night. And that's exactly what happened. And it's the energy that I like seeing from the student section. We're supposed to be a hard place to play. That is what Dan Giroux said. He wants the fans to pack the hack, as we have heard a million times, as we've gotten in all the emails, pack the hack and make it the hardest place to play in this conference. And it is games like that on Friday night against an Atlantic 10 team where the building is as ballistic as it is that makes that building hard to play in. And I want to talk about one guy here. Dude, CJ Anthony. I mean, I love what he's doing. I mean, enjoy him while we've got him because he's going to get a big offer after this year. He was the guy in 2 wins now at home, dropping 20 points in each of those wins. He has just done a great job. He hit the free throws to end the game. He was money from the stripe. And that was the difference because both teams couldn't really hit their shots a lot. And when you get the free throws, you take advantage of those, you win games. And CJ Anthony, he did that. And I like that this team showed that they can win a game in a way other than, we can just shoot 50% from the field and 50% from three, and we'll score 95, 100 points. We'll be fine. But no, they actually had to adapt a bit. And that's another test that I think Dan Giroux has passed in becoming the next great coach here. And he's done amazing, and I can't wait to see more. I mean, I'm gonna make a point to go to a bunch of these games because it's just so fun. It is so friggin' fun to just watch a fun team represent your school in your own building with the most insane crowd that you can think of. Just, my God, I love it. I love it. I want to see more heckling. It was NSFW on Friday night. Anyways, we're going to throw it in our break here. We got around 15 minutes left after this. We're going to talk some puck here. Rangers, Devils, Islanders, all 3 teams going through different stuff. Back after this.
Untouchable, unstoppable.
This is WIUR Sports Radio.
Hi, I'm Robbie Basil, president of WIUR Radio, and I hope you're enjoying today's show. Have you ever wanted to call the biggest games, the biggest moments for the biggest names for Iona Athletics? Then the newly founded WIUR Sports Radio is the place to be. Launched in January of 2025, our goal is to try and get broadcasters here at Iona an opportunity to learn, succeed, and get a chance to be on air. From getting to call the big moments at the hack.
Dinkins trying to go to the rack. Denied. Yafet Mundi.
To seeing the crack of the bat at City Park.
The line drive into left field, around third, and it kicks away. The Gaels are going to win it in 10.
We make those moments happen on our brand new WIUR Sports Radio platform on Mixer. If you're interested, feel free to reach out to me via email or to the rest of my e-board to join the club. We are WIUR Sports Radio, the new home of Iona Athletics. Now, back to the show on WIUR, Iona University Radio.
All right, we're back. Again, WIUR Sports Broadcasting, they've really taken off last couple of years, in the basketball games. Geez, that's got to be nuts calling a game in that building. My God. But anyways, going to talk some puck here before we round off today's show and send you guys off to lunch. I'm gonna lead here with the New York Rangers, 7-3 in their last 10. I'm gonna be for real here, dude. This team, they've got all the makings of a wagon, and they scare me. This team scares me. And I don't care that they lost against the Red Wings last night. I don't care. I'm gonna be honest, I don't. Because just looking at the stats, this is a team that at any moment is going to take off and run the league. Second, in expected goals for percentage at 5-on-5. They have elite goaltending, and they have all the makings of a team that can honestly win the Metro. I'm dead serious when I say that. It would not shock me at all if the Rangers are the team that wins the Metropolitan Division all said and done, because for starters, they own Carolina. When the Rangers are good and they play the Hurricanes, they just take care of them because they have a remedy for that exact system. They have elite goaltending to deal with the high volume, low danger shots that Carolina is known for and usually overwhelms teams with. But Igor Shesterkin is equipped to handle those, like that kind of team. So he devours them in his sleep. So they own Carolina. The Devils can't stay out of the hospital. Their best player is good for at least 30 games a year out of the lineup. And not to mention, like, their entire right side of their defense, who was supposed to start the year, yeah, they're all hurt for probably a long time. Their depth forwards are hurt. And who knows how long it's going to be before a guy like Nico Hischier gets hurt, who may or may not be playing hurt right now, given his performance. And also, Pittsburgh's not staying this good. Dude, Pittsburgh, really? I don't believe in Pittsburgh. That team is going to... that's a regression candidate just waiting to happen. They're a team that just got off to a hot start, and they're going to taper off. I think Pittsburgh's just another one of those teams that starts hot and then falls off because they're too old and they need to, you know, maybe they're just going to be one of those teams who's just good enough to not sell off Rickard Rakell at the deadline. Because how many years have we been talking about Rickard Rakell getting traded at the deadline before just not getting dealt? And I know there was some officiating stuff in that game against the Red Wings. I know Luke Dolan, a guy who used to be my partner on here, he yells that he hates the refs. He thinks the refs are the reason that the Rangers haven't won the last 30 cups since 1994. And the officiating, I mean, I think the Rangers are just a good team. And I feel like no amount of bad officiating can really get in the way of that. I know Kelly Sutherland is a horrible ref, but he's a horrible ref for everybody. I can make a catalog out of bad calls that he made against the Devils, but I can also make a catalog of bad calls that he made for the Devils. And I'm sure if a Ranger fan did the adequate amount of research, they could find out a laundry list of bad calls that he made in their favor. So now blow the nose with the officiating, because I know bad officiating is just bad officiating all around. I don't think there's this mythical screw the Rangers button that exists in Toronto because they just hate an original six team that is the most valuable NHL franchise in the United States. Like, I think that's counterproductive. But anyways, the Rangers, they've got Trocheck back. He's been a game changer. I think, like, this is my hot take right now. I think as of right now and as of where the season looks like it's going, I think the Rangers are going to win the Metropolitan Division. I mean this. I'm serious. I'm serious when I say it. Once they finally regress to the mean at home positively, they're going to rattle off. You're going to check the standings, and at any given point, the Rangers are going to be 8-2 in their last 10. That is going to be you're going to look at 8-2, 7-3, 6-3-1, just 6-2-2, just like those kinds of records that you're going to see from the last 10 column on the standings from the Rangers for the rest of the year. Just given how everything is shaking out right now, I think the Rangers are going to run the Eastern Conference this year, and I think they're going to be the team to beat in the playoffs. I mean it because the Rangers haven't had like positive play driving metrics at all. And this is a year where they are one of the best in the league at it. So, I mean, I hate it. I really hate it. As a Devils fan, I am shaking in my boots and I'm having another existential crisis of, boy, I really wish I chose the Rangers as a kid. But anyway, speaking of the New Jersey Devils, I mean, there's just, oh my God. Oh, dude, the injuries. Dear God, dude, can I have 1 year where the team is just healthy? But I know I'm not going to get it because it's just the way this team's built. It's the way this organization operates. And I'm just going to be honest, I'm really running out of patience with Jack Hughes. I love him when he's on the ice. I have two Jack Hughes jerseys. Only athlete on earth who I have multiple jerseys of. And I gotta tell you, we're getting to the point where we gotta start being a little more cutthroat with this operation. We gotta stop coddling these players. We gotta stop infantilizing them. Jeez, dude, we as a fan base, we just infantilize these players. And Jack Hughes is one of them. We gotta look at the facts. He's never played a full 82 game season. He's out for crucial stretches of time that cost your team points and cost your team playoff series. I know he's talented. He's freakishly talented. He's a top 10 player in the league when healthy, but the bottom line is he never is. Jack Hughes is never healthy. And I know this injury, it was a freak accident at a team dinner, but it gets to a point where it's not a fluke. He's always hurt. There's something about him that just makes him get hurt. And I'm just saying right now, you can get a lot for him. He's on maybe the most friendly contract in the league when he's performing. And I know it won't be fair value. You're not going to get anywhere close to fair value for trading Jack Hughes, but you'll get a lot of good players who are, most importantly, available. And this isn't just a Jack Hughes thing. Everyone's hurt on the Devils. And honestly, it's been enough years in a row now where it's an organizational problem. Cody Glass, Connor Brown, Brett Pesce, Jonathan Kovacevic, all on IR with more possibly to come. Dougie Hamilton is probably going to hit that list soon. And I got to tell you, and that there's more guys who may or may not be hurt. I mean, every game we get a close call of one star player who's laboring to get up and while going to the bench, or he's in the locker room. You know, we had a scare with Jesper Bratt on Saturday, and we just had so many. We've had so many scares. I mean, Nico Hischier might be playing hurt right now. But there's something that this staff is doing that's making our players more susceptible to injury. I know it's like you can chalk it up to luck, but I'm one of those people who has grown to believe that if a team deals with injuries a lot, it's honestly an organizational issue, because I look at it in football. Look at how many star players get hurt on the Giants. Look at how many star players get hurt on the Eagles. Saquon Barkley, his knee cartilage was a pulled pork on the Giants. And now all of a sudden on the Eagles, he's healthy, running at full speed again. Maybe there's something there. But I still think that, like in sports, it's an organizational problem when players get hurt this often. There's a correlation. I'm sure if you plot it on a chart, you can find like the same teams get hurt the same amount of times every year. And I think it's something that this athletic training staff is doing that is making them get hurt. That's making their bodies softer. That's making them more brittle. Maybe they're not eating right. Maybe it's the team nutritionist. Maybe it's the trainer. Maybe it's the doctors. I don't know. But it's something that clearly isn't working. But despite all of this, now, as much as I talk about the guys underperforming and the players who are currently out with injury or playing hurt, they're winning. They're 13-4-1. They're the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. I think they've won 5 out of their last 7. And like, and they have a negative expected goals percentage. Every sign and metric out there, except special teams, says that they should be falling apart, but they aren't. I don't understand why this team is good. I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. I'm waiting for this team to go on a run where they lose 7 out of 10. I'm waiting for a run where they or lose 5 in a row or fall just off a cliff in the standings, because every sign says that that's what should be happening, but it isn't. And I like that it's not. I like that there are players stepping up, namely Simone Nemitz. I mean, geez. Well, look at what he's been doing. But, I mean, the players Nico Hischier hasn't been Nico Hischier. Luke Hughes, I mean, dude, he's in the running for worst contract in the league. Another guy who's in the running for worst contract in the league is Jacob Markstrom. I mean, boy, he's been terrible. But despite all this, the Devils, they're winning on the road, too. They're winning games that they usually don't. They're winning shootouts. Maybe that's what they should do. They need to become shootout merchants. Maybe that's why they're winning games. That 5 games in a row that have gone past regulation. And, maybe you get to the little moments like that where you can really play to your strengths. Maybe it works. Maybe it does. All right, we're going to talk about the Islanders real quick before we get done, because I know there's another show that's about to start here soon. I'm going to be quick. The New York Islanders, these guys are serious players in the East. I talk about teams who I think are a threat to the Rangers. I've got this team pegged. The New York Islanders, that team, there's real star power. Bo Horvat, I mean, he's going to play for Team Canada. Matthew Schaefer, I mean, dude. Matthew Schaefer, he's 18, and he got thrust into this role as a number 1 defenseman, and he has done phenomenally. Matthew Schaefer, we just got to call it like it is, dude. Matthew Schaefer, he's going to end the year as a top 5 defenseman. I mean that. Top of that, you got Matt Barzal, and, Emil Heineman. Who saw this coming? I mean, you talk about the Noah Dobson trade. Jeez. Although I think Islanders fans are getting really annoying with how much they jam it down Habs fans' throats. They try to make them care that they gave up Emil Heineman for Noah Dobson. Like, every time Noah Dobson makes even the slightest mistake, every Islanders fan is on it like a pack of just like locusts. They just swarm to it. But Emil Heineman has done a really good job for the Islanders this year. And I think with all said and done, I think this is a playoff team. I think this team squeaks into a wild card spot, and I think there's a chance that they get a divisional spot in the Metro. I think this is a team that in a playoff series, they can give the Devils a run for their money. I think they can give the Hurricanes a run for their money. I think they can give anybody in this conference a run for their money. Is this team, they've got energy, and they've got goaltending too. I know Sorokin has had a couple down years, but if you look at the goals saved above expected, he's near the top. I'm bullish on the Islanders. I'm buying in. I know, like I said, I'm not excited about them. I said they didn't have star power. Now they have it in spades, and it's mostly homegrown too, or savvy trades. Just really great stuff. Great stuff from the Islanders. Anyways, that'll be all for me today. Thank you so much for tuning in if you did. And if you're watching this back on a podcast or whatever, thank you so much for watching. If you're watching this on a clip, thank you for watching whatever clip you watched. But anyways, I got stuff to do. Got to eat lunch, do homework, whatever. Anyways, this has been Woolley Mammoth Mondays. I'm Cam Woolley saying take care and have a good one.